I make sure that my website looks the same way that my TikToks feel, that is the same way as my Instagram posts feel, which is the same way that my shirts feel. And that feeling of I'm trying to tell someone's story through my shirt, just like a band is trying to tell either their own story or someone else's story through their music.
You are now listening to the Creative Juice podcast brought to you by IndiePRO.io.
What's up, Indies? Welcome back to Creative Juice. This is the podcast where we cover building and monetizing a fan base and growing in a music career with marketing strategies that are working right now based on what we see every single day inside our music marketing agency and across our community of thousands of artists and bands. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. This is episode 394, and today we're going to be talking about e-commerce, a lot about e-commerce, and I'm your host, Jack McCarthy. This is episode 394. And with me, as always, is Circa. What's up, dude?
How's it going, friend?
Super good, man. I'm very excited about this episode. This one's been a long time coming. We have a very special guest joining us on the show today who has a really interesting story of how he built a awesome e-commerce brand, a clothing company, off of the back of doing a lot of work in the music industry. And I've been trying to get him on Creative Juice for about a good year now. I'd like to introduce all of our listeners to my friend, Jame McElroy from Two Crow Collective. Jame, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's good to be here. It's awesome to finally hop on with you, brothers.
Likewise, brother.
Super excited to have you, man. I think this is going to be a really insightful episode. For any artists or creatives that are listening to this, Jame will get into kind of the genesis of his clothing company and e-commerce brand Two Crow Collective in a minute here, but it's a really inspiring story with a ton for artists to learn about as it pertains to building a brand, building products and offers that really resonate with an audience and with customers, and building something that's super profitable as a result. And Jame has done that to a degree that for as long as I've known him, I didn't know would happen in quite this way. Jame and I have known each other since college, and we lived on the same floor for a couple years, and we've been friends for a very long time. And I'm just super honored and excited and proud of him and pumped to have him on the show. Jame, for our listeners, can you give them a little bit of an elevator story of Two Crow Collective, of you, of your journey? I think journey in and of itself will be inspiring for a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for the lovely intro. It's been 15 years since I met you, I think. And actually, the first time I met you, I remember I tried to cut you in line waiting for like books at the bookstore at like orientation or something. And you
I don't remember that.
Because you had the big beaded necklace with the orange pick for a long time.
Yep.
Never forget it. It was hilarious.
I have that either in my closet or at my parents' house for sure.
Yeah, my story is a crazy one a little bit. I, played in bands all through college, all through high school, all through post-college until I had a kid. Pretty much like up till COVID, I was actively playing and performing and touring in bands. And that was in the capacity of performing, and I was a merch tech and a driver for Small Town Titans for a little bit. That was fun. Lots of on-the-road experience.
Wait, you drove for Small Town Titans?
I did, for several tours.
Oh, wait, do you all know each other from college days? Okay.
Yep.
I was like, what?
A small town.
I mean, I saw their first show ever, which was in a gymnasium at our college. Yeah, no. So, I started off right out of college. I was looking for ways. I consider myself to be a band dad. So like the guy who handles everything in the band. I was looking for ways to just save money, period. One of my friends, Lauren, had a screen printing press that she had bought. It was like $150 on Amazon, like the crappiest thing in the world, just like a total clunker.
And you were like, we're going to be rich.
We're going to be rich. And you know what? Our prints were not good. I fell in love with it very quickly. And I got that same exact press for Christmas. And I used it up until last year. It's a one color, one palette press. And honestly, simplicity in my sake has been my winning mentality, doing a one color design on a single shirt is definitely just the most cost effective way to go. And you can still get across the beauty and just like a winning product essentially with something simple. But I started out, I was DIY till you die, printing shirts in my basement for my bands, and then friends caught wind, and then I started printing for other bands, and then other bands, and then other bands, and then other bands. And I was working a 9 to 5 desk job, which I hated. It was fun, but I just like didn't want to do it.
Was it fun?
Yeah, I booked clowns for a living, so yeah, it was kind of fun.
It was fun. My bad.
No, it was cool. Actually, I learned everything I needed to ever know about customer service at that job.
Yeah, sure.
I use that to this day.
Your clown was drunk at my kid's party.
That stuff happened.
Okay.
And I was the guy who had to take the call and
to calm that person down.
Yeah. I mean, if you can sell a clown to somebody for something, you can sell anything. Like, you know, like that was one of the hardest things to do. Clowns are not easy.
Didn't at one point you have an idea for like a viral concept of like shits the clown or something like that?
Yes, I did. I literally made a clown persona and I did a photo shoot. I have it somewhere. I'll send it to you guys if I can find it. But it was Shits the Clowns, and I was going to have another clown girl be Giggles. So it was Shits and Giggles, and it was like kind of like a two.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
Yes, sure. I remember this now.
But like I have Crohn's disease, so like Shits the Clown for me is really funny because, you know, it's all in the humor. But I was printing every day. I was going 9 to 5, and then I'd come home, I'd eat dinner, and I would print from like 6 to midnight, like every day.
Nice ref, dude. Shout outs.
I like just completely burnt out. And then COVID hit at the exact personal right time. I hate that I succeeded through COVID because a lot of people got sick and a lot of people like didn't do well. I took that opportunity to just completely reset my life. And I drank a lot. I was day drinking while my wife was teaching on a computer upstairs.
Let's go.
Sick, dude. Played a lot of video games.
Nice, dude.
And then I got, you know, a little tired and bored. Like boredom hit. And I was like, you know what? Like I'm good at art. I've been doing posters and graphic design since college. Like it's not a foreign thing for me. And I just started drawing and just doing stuff that I felt, you know, like I have a chronic illness, I have Crohn's disease, I have mental health, I have PTSD and anxiety and depression. And I was just drawing how I felt. And that stimulus check hit, and I was like, I spent probably half of it on inventory on a whim, just risk taker. Yeah. And for 2 months,
calculated risk, you had the skills already to.
Yep. I was like, you know what? I'm going to sell shirts. I can do this. I can print them.
And people are buying shit online like crazy.
This was like pre-TikTok shop, right? Like that wasn't a thing yet. And people were just bored on their phones 24/7.
They're like, I need stuff to wear in my house.
And so I just like, it was very slow grow, you know, it was very like, let's, you know, a couple hundred likes here and there, nothing crazy, nothing wild. And then I saw like the more I posted, the more fewer followers, you know, it was like slow, very slow. But these people were like diehard. They loved it, you know, having 120 to 500 people starting out that were just like, I like this stuff. And so I was doing very personalized, hyper personalized videos of like me packing their orders. And the first one went viral. It was literally just a packing video. And I put my phone upside down on my bar in my basement, and I packed like looking up at the camera upside down, and I was packing this order, and it was the biggest order I ever gotten. It was like a $150 order, and I put all the stuff in a box, and it was like all of our best sellers at that point, and it went viral. And then like that was kind of like the Kickstarter, like, okay, this is what you're doing for the rest of your life. Fast forward to, it was Valentine's Day that was November, December. So it was like the next February, I posted a shirt. It said on the back, it says looking for love in all the wrong places. And it was a skeleton face with heart eyes. It was very like Valentine's Day, but also alternative, you know, niche, emo niche. And I posted it the day before Valentine's Day, and the algorithm just hit, and it fed it to single women on Valentine's Day, and they bought it. And I woke up the next day with $25,000 in my bank account, which was like,
whoa.
okay, this is definitely it now. And ever since, I've just been making and releasing new stuff every day. Not every day, every month. And, that's kind of like the short and curly story.
So the stimulus for moving what was a print and design company, services company for bands and businesses to an actual brand that you did all the design work for and having customers, it really sounds like it came off the back of just being like, I don't want to do that anymore. And all my demand got wiped out because touring stopped.
Yes. Nobody was buying shirts for their bands because they weren't playing shows.
Well, it's so dumb because it's like you're an existence proof for the thesis that we've been shilling for the last 8 years, which is like, stop, just like detach merch from touring and care, even maybe dial down how much you care about touring and dial way up how much you care about merch. And it's funny that like you exist and these musicians were like, COVID hit, let's stop making stuff that we can sell.
It's especially crazy to piggyback on that. It's especially crazy that it was like everything stopped in your business because your customers at the time, your clients were like, oh, we can't buy stuff because we can't.
All our customers are locked inside with their credit cards online. Like, we got to stop everything that we're doing.
And so you were like, okay, fine. I'll just go right to the customers then and I'll sell my own stuff. And you did. And you built a business off of it.
It is very music inspired and music related, but my brand is not a band. But even if my brand was a band, I would have done the same exact thing.
Oh, dude, that is
It's like, look at how much energy touring takes and how little reward it yields you for like almost all of your career, if not all. If you just diverted like 20% of that to being clever with your merch, you know what I mean? It's like, put some of that creativity that you purport to have and just put it into the merch at this opportune time to do so.
I think my place on this planet with music, honestly, is being band dad so much that when I leave the band, which has happened 4 times over now, they wake up and start doing, and then they're way more successful than they were with me in the band.
Oh, nice. That's not what typically happens when fathers leave.
No. When daddy walks away. No, because, and it's like every band that I've left, I'm still friends with them. It's all been amicable. There's been no like malice. It's just I needed something different, And for the last band, like I was in Dead Eyes and I left because I had kids. Like it's just I'm not suited for being on the road anymore. And like they are going and touring and they're signed to Thriller now. Like they're doing the thing and I'm cool with that. I just saw them play like 3 days ago.
You were like the Mufasa for all the bands that you were in. You die and then
I die and then they succeed. They grow to be the king.
What would you say? This is a twofold question for you. What would you say are like big lessons learned from your work being in bands and working with bands that influenced and has helped you with building Two Crow Collective as a brand? And then as like a secondary point to that, what do you wish you knew as an artist that you know now in owning this burgeoning business?
Okay. Let me start with that one, the second one. I wish I would have been more transparent and authentic out the gate.
To your fans and customers?
Yep. I think people go through a lot more than you give them credit for. My story, I never thought would connect with people, ever. And it was out of literal sheer boredom that I started sharing my story. And the content that has worked the best isn't necessarily me being authentic and saying this is who I am, this is why I made this design, this is why ... There is a little bit of clickbaity stuff happening and that is better performing for me, but I can attest that the people that stay for a lifetime are the ones connecting with my story.
Yeah.
And the clickbaity stuff, that can be the cherry on top, right? Like looking for love in all the wrong places. Like my story behind that design is not a relationship story. It's a story with like myself. I need to look inside myself for love, not in someone else. And people saw it and they're like, oh, this is like a I'm single and this is why kind of shirt. And like those people bought it and they never bought anything else.
Sure.
But the people that got it have been lifetime valued customers.
One of the enduring models in digital marketing, at least for me, because I've been through every mental model that like can like help you understand it or like frame it. And one that's like stuck around for me because I always end up referring to it again is traffic and conversion, because it's like traffic is let's open up the floodgates. Who cares? Who cares how? Like just get eyeballs. And then conversion is like, all right, now with this stream, with this flow, let's filter it. Let's get only people that are going to enduringly care about all that I can actually do, because I can't be a fake person forever. So let's like expose that flow to who I actually am and not care that 99% of them are not going to care.
I think that the percentage is a lot less than you think, though. You think that 99% of people don't care. I would argue it's probably closer to 50. Like, I think more people care than you think.
Well, like there is the hooks you pick to open up flow are necessarily like going to filter a little bit for you on the front end. But even if it is 99% or if it's 50 is great. Like the point being is that like, don't care about whether the people who come in on the front end stick around. Just care that front end is sufficient enough to find some amount, non-zero amount of people who will stick around. And the reason they'll stick around is your authenticity and the stuff that like, is just not going to go viral.
100%.
Sometimes we'll talk to indies and it'll be like, well, this is a great middle of funnel or bottom of funnel strategy. And I think they kind of take that to mean, oh, you don't like my idea. Just like we literally mean.
I've been there for sure.
Yeah. What we literally mean is like, put this after people are successfully exposed, because it's you and it's flypaper for the people who are actually your people. And I think that speaks to like what you were saying is that like, yeah, you have some clickbaity stuff, but all of the people who stick around love one particular thing from the less like viral content. Yeah,
for sure. And then I don't remember what your other question was, Jack.
My other question was, what have you taken with you from your time being in bands and being in art, like in music specifically? What has carried with you into Two Crow Collective and building this machine?
Ethos, honestly, just like punk love, putting yourself on stage and playing something meaningful is the same as putting something meaningful on a t-shirt. It's art. It's all art. I remember in my one band Paradry, I had a very hard time with connecting album artwork with the actual songs. And it was at a time where like Spotify was on the up and up too. So like the album artwork was kind of shown there and nowhere else. So I kind of was like, it's whatever. And I kind of regret my thought process in that moment, because now I think cohesivity is like the main product you're selling more than anything. I mean, this is something I've talked to Jack at length about, probably. The idea that when you go on stage and somebody walks in the venue and they go to your merch booth first, if your merch booth doesn't look good, they're making an assumption about your band right then and there. And vice versa. If they see you play on stage and you suck and they go to your merch booth, but it's like this really cool like experience, they might not buy something, or vice versa. They might like be like, oh, this band's going to be sick because their merch booth is cool. Like, and then that goes to your album artwork, that goes to your t-shirts, that goes to your how you sound, how you act in the crowd, how you act with people off stage. Like, all of that stuff matters all at the same time.
Yeah.
And so bringing that to what I do as an artist, I make sure that my website looks the same way that my TikToks feel, that is the same way as my Instagram posts feel, which is the same way that my shirts feel. And that feeling of I'm trying to tell someone's story through my shirt, just like a band is trying to tell either their own story or someone else's story through their music. So that's kind of what I've taken from music.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing lesson. And I mean, it applies to your online structure as well. You alluded to like, I make sure my store looks cohesive. But we tell indies this all the time. Like, if you're advertising to get your music out there, your socials also need to not look like a ghost town. When somebody gets to the next place that they're going to go, it better look good. It better look active. It can't be, the lights are on but nobody's home kind of setup. And I think you've done a really good job of that with the brand as well, where you are active. It's a part, you've made it a part of your life. It truly is, like, interestingly enough, like a lifestyle business in namesake, I would say. Like, you pour so much of yourself into the storytelling of Two Crow Collective that I think is really, it's a strong example of what to do online.
Hey, I mean, and I'm one guy, like I'm not the best at keeping up on Instagram posts. I'm not the best at keeping up on TikToks. I burn out regularly. And I think it's just when you're doing it, you got to do it. And this is the life lesson for being in a band, that like I'm by myself doing this entire business. Like, my wife helps me like often, but like majority of this is by myself and with third party people that I hire on. You're in a band of 3, 4, 5, 6 people even. And if you're the only person doing everything, there's a problem in your business model.
Every band I've ever experienced has a problem then.
Yes, exactly. And I'm not saying cut ties with people that don't do work, right? Like, I'm just saying get them invested in the same way that you are, because everybody should have their thing. One person can handle merch. One person can handle setting up recording sessions. One person can handle setting up writing sessions, like all that kind of stuff. Like, there's so much work to go around. And if there's somebody not in it to win it,
So we've actually, a close friend of Jack and mine has a band, and just like all bands, like there's a person driving, and then there's other people who that person maybe tries to get drive, but it ends up being counterproductive. And they're like, why did I even do this? And they take back the responsibility they gave to that person because it's just cleaner for them to do it themselves. And in this case, this person was comfortable with reaping disproportionate rewards from the band. Okay, I'm going to get more of the streaming check. I'm going to get more of the tour because I do everything. And to me, that's clean, because it's like most bands have this problem, but we're like, I think as a musician, you come liberal, like you come to the party pretty liberal. And so it feels wrong to not distribute amongst but then no one's doing any labor, but
that's treating your band like a business, though. Like,
totally.
just
But
like,
it just makes sense. The incentives are in the
does.
right place. Like, the counterbalances are correct. And largely the people not doing work don't really have a problem with that, because they they have
Hopefully.
eyes too.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And I've been in situations where those discussions have been had and it's been ugly, because it's like,
Yeah. Well, but then you said, like, I'm not saying like just kick out everyone who doesn't do work, but it's like, yeah, you shouldn't. You should proportionally distribute rewards from work, and then if people have a problem, then you kick them out.
Yeah.
But don't just kick them out ad hoc, because it might be fine. But that's cool. It's cool that you to this day are still doing a majority of that work, because I'm very DIY myself. I'm like,
dude, that, like you said, if why hire someone when I can just do it myself? And that is like the hardest. Like, I can do it right myself. Like, I can do it the way I want it done. And that's the hardest thing that I'm trying to like nip the butt in for my own business, because I know that like I need to be in the front of things. I shouldn't be printing really anymore. I need to be making content and selling, because that's what I do.
that's it's what am I uniquely suited to do?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's a process of experimenting with, like, I'm going to give this thing off. And if it doesn't go well, and I truly am the best, yeah, if I truly am the best, then I will admit to myself begrudgingly, you know what? You are amazing at this. And I will take it.
A few years ago, I read a book from one of my mentors, Dan Martell, and he wrote the line that stuck with me in this book that made me like fall in love with this person was, he was talking about delegation, and like when you've identified the thing that you know you should really let go of but you're afraid to, is he was like, the work 80% done by someone else is 100% fucking awesome, because you're not having to do it, and you can carry the final 20% if you need to. And that really stuck with me when it comes to finding the places where you uniquely need to live in your work and removing yourself from the places where you don't, being uncomfortable with that.
I find that like current modern culture is over indexed on this concept of like, yeah, just get like be highly efficient and give out everything that you can't be the absolute best at. And I think that there's like an argument, or at least a philosophical place for the argument that like, no, do as much yourself as you can that you feel you have a unique aptitude for, if it fits in the set of making this whole set of experiences feel the same. Just like you said, like when a customer experiences it, like that every aspect of that experience can be designed with intention. And if the brain trust of that experience, of any part of it that was attractive to them, is not behind any individual component of the experience, it's going to feel disjointed. I think what people get away from is that like they think they don't have time. They think they're in a rush to like beat every competitor and scale and do this and that. And it's like, what if you could just take all the time in the world and just, you could just sit
You
there.
literally can.
You can be a hermit and you can just whittle away.
That reminds me of the guy who made Stardew Valley, the video game.
Great example.
Huge example for this, because he made a game by himself from the ground up that people still love. It's growing today, and I think I actually just read an article about this like yesterday. Basically, he's creating another game called Haunted, I don't know, something like Haunted. It's like a haunted house kind of thing, but he is in between making updates for Stardew Valley with a developing team. But he is like so gung-ho about having his touch on everything and he's like, I don't care how long it takes. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I want to do this the same and right way. And I think that's super, super important. And not to say that he doesn't like hire out people to help him with things, but like he's like, I'm not letting anybody do the music. I'm doing the music.
Have you ever heard of Dwarf Fortress?
I have, but I've never played it.
These two brothers fell in love with game programming like 3 decades ago. And ever since then, they have lived close to the poverty line or below it. They have foregone meals. They have foregone comforts of life to just be able to program this one game all the time and not accept input from anyone else. Like they even had like this big debacle and debate about whether they should accept input from their own community. Because they were like, like if you don't like it, like don't play it, because we're just doing this because we love game programming and making this game. And they've worked on it for 3 decades and has this huge following, like cult classic game. And yeah, there is something to like, there is an artisan quality in the modern era that's being lost by like the seek to like the search to hyper optimize everything. And it's like, man, like there's something to be said for like touching every piece of the experience that someone has, I think it's super cool that you've been able to get really far, mostly doing that.
I'm too stubborn to not. Like that's the problem.
Sure. Yeah. It would never happen if there weren't people who are incredibly stubborn, for sure. Look at Linux. Linus Torvalds is still the benevolent dictator for life of Linux, and he still puts out mass emails to a 60,000 person Linux developer email list where he's raging at people for like the formatting of their like pull requests. Like, like you put this tag in here, like get your tags out of here. Like, I think it's super cool. I think there's something to be said for that. It isn't really, there's no advocacy for like a slow down. Don't outsource. Don't find people. Don't build a team. Like, not to say that like you should never build a team, but just to present the value of one.
I think just building a team that is right and taking the time to bring on people that are correct for you and for your vision and for your band or your project or anything like that. And I think a lot of people, like you said, like they just want to rush. They're just like, oh, I need to get bodies. And I've done that. Like I did this huge PBS's Punk release lately, and I completely misjudged and mishandled a pre-order, and I had to hire on 4 people immediately to help me fulfill packages. And 2 of them were the right call, and 2 of them weren't. And so I kept 2, and I lost 2, and that's totally fine. But it's hard. It's not something I ever thought I'd have to deal with. Like being a leader or a CEO or an owner of a company, watching people do things wrong and then needing to correct them is uncomfortable for somebody
Yeah.
who's never done it before. But it's necessary, and it might be necessary. And I can only imagine how much more uncomfortable it is in a band setting where, like, these are your friends, you know, and saying, hey, listen, like, you don't understand the vision of this like the other guys do, or whatever. Like, it could be something like that. It could be like the art that you see for our project doesn't really vibe with me. And then it's just like, now you've got butting heads and all this stuff. And I've dealt with that, you know, and it's like at some point down the line, you have to trust just a little bit that they're not going to do anything to throw off the balance. But if it does, you have to have like some checks and balances.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Art direction for an album, right? I say, go ahead, let John take care of finding an artist, dealing with the interactions with that artist, producing the product, get some samples, but we're all going to vote on it at this point and this point. That way everybody's involved, but John has to do it.
And John's got to be cool with whatever. Yeah. I think like they're as artists, and maybe my perspective is distorted because I grew up in Massachusetts. So I just like, I was talking to a friend the other day who grew up in Texas, and it's like, oh, there's fundamental differences here. Like, but like, I think as artists, or at least this was my experience, is that like to enlist people to your thing, my default like thing I reach for, like my knee-jerk reaction, is to give them some kind of ownership, whether that be like mental, philosophical ownership, like you're part of this, dude, or like physical, real ownership. Right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, because who would care about my thing if they didn't own a part of it, right? Who would do a good job if they didn't own a part of this? But to have that separation, that like people will do great work, and you don't have to give them the world. And if you don't at first, they'll sometimes are more incentivize because if they show up and get ownership, they didn't really earn that. So it's worth almost nothing to them, you know? So yeah, I think like it is important to like at least give people the feeling as if they are earning the right to do that, you know, to make those kinds of key decisions without oversight, because they'll probably do a better job at like fulfilling that role.
I've had several people reach out to me, like friends, old friends, customers, just like, is there anything I can do? Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. And, you know, I've hired on friends, I've hired on customers to do like being like a moderator in my Discord, stuff like that, like little things that give them that feeling of like, yes, like I am a part of this in a bigger way. The problem comes in when there's so many people that ask you, hey, can I be a part of this? And you're like, I don't have anywhere to put you. Like, I don't have anything. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Giving them some sort of ownership is really important.
But it's like, if you do it out too early, you will feel as if you're betraying that like foundational spirit in which they were brought into the thing. If you have to tell them like, nah, that's wrong. Like,
it's a very band heavy thing to feel. I've definitely felt similarly. Like it's that all for one for all.
Every band member has to feel like this is theirs. And if you were to tell them, hey, no, that's not the album artwork, or hey, no, like this is actually a bad idea, or hey, no, like this isn't making it on the record, like then you feel as if you're betraying the spirit in which you first enlisted them into your thing. Because there was a time when you needed them more than they needed you, maybe, or just as much. And so I think it's cleaner to bring people in under the pretense of like, this is my thing. And it can become partially your thing if you're really sick at what you do. Like, you know, I think it's a super cool story because it does show like, no, like you actually can manage large portions of large things all by yourself. And sometimes if you're a smart cookie, it'll be better off for it.
We're going to continue our conversation with Jame and Two Crow Collective next week and talk more about the depth of viral action that he's seen in the company and what artists can learn from it. So I'm very excited to continue this conversation. We'll see you guys then.
Next time on Creative Juice, Jame blows up.
That's right. We'll see you guys there. Peace out, Indy.
Can y'all really feel the East Coast? West Coast. Say what?